shifts in terms of priority, very, very small. You know, people have picked up Skarner in the absence of Sejuani with the small nerf, where you can pick her up as like a second tier in the jungle, but it definitely seems like Skarner's a little bit higher priority. Azir also got hit with some nerfs/changes, so he dropped down in people's priority list, and GP, Galio have definitely jumped up in the last 2 weeks in North America.
Galio's certainly been rising. That's the second ban there from Clutch. A Varus ban from TSM, taking Apollo's most aggressive marksman that he has been playing recently, and a Taliyah ban here for Clutch, so another global taken away.
Clutch did this yesterday where they triple banned Fly, and then they kept throwing bans at him on key champions that he'd been performing on. So it looks like they're trying to give Febiven another favorable matchup versus Bjergsen.
Febiven's certainly been performing exceptionally well so far, kind of ramping up as one of those players that we didn't know exactly what to expect, but he has delivered time and time again some strong performances on the last ban here, actually taking a tank out of the pool from Solo. Certainly seen a lot of that in support as well. Both Hakuho and Mithy have played their champion to great success.
Yeah, it's a flex pick for them because Solo played it yesterday like you had stated. And right here, their first pick, I would assume it's the Skarner since LirA's been loving that champion.
Apparently that's just the jungler to be. Skarner is the first pick there for Clutch. Always fun to see just how much things have changed with Skarner entering the meta. But realistically, the change on that E for that start is just so much early crowd control, especially if we see, again, continued use of Predator.
And there has been some shifts, like you said. Summoner Spellbook with Ghost Start is what people were doing in solo queue, some with Aftershock, but now the Predator has come out as one of the premier keystones to run on him, which gives you a level 4 to 5 gank that's very good, and you can kind of flash on top of it instead of having to rely on having a Ghost as a summoner spell. I am curious, though, as to if he is running Predator, what is his bottom tier rune in that tree? Because some people are running Relentless Hunter, which gives you the out-of-combat movement speed.
Yep.
But I personally think Ingenious Hunter is way better because you get the cooldown reduction on your Predator, which when fully stacked takes 40 seconds off of it. And if you have Righteous Glory, it's definitely worth it to take Ingenious Hunter over Relentless.
As a reminder, that's active item CDR. I did not consider that Predator was considered an active item cooldown, but you're absolutely right, as Azir and Gnar are the picks here for TSM. One thing we've seen a lot from these Skarner picks is ganks on mid lane early. So Azir certainly going to have to be careful for even though great on that champion. So a nice takeaway also from TSM as Camille enters the mix there in top lane. You have to assume there for Solo and Febiven having some fun with the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I really doubt that would be locked in, especially into something like the Azir. Does not affect it with the blind. But the Camille for top lane into Gnar, a counter matchup here for Solo, who has been silently performing. Solo has the highest percent of his team's damage. Oh yeah, and Swain.
And Zoe's up too. Febiven again, having a lot of fun there. But Zoe is actually where the dust settles. Had a couple of changes, kind of ramping into this patch, but still quite strong. We'll have to see if Bjergsen can dodge those bubbles, especially with LirA presumably pressuring that lane in the early game as well.
And it's interesting because Bjergsen was known for his Zoe back at All-Stars, being one of the first people to adopt it. And right there, Bjergsen looked like he had a little bit of a scare. I don't know what spooked him, but jumped between 3 champions, and eventually they're on Sejuani.
Well, find the right one. No assassins this time around, as the jungle pickup does happen there for TSM. Looks like we've mirrored these first 6 picks in the draft, so bot lane going to start to get attacked here in the draft.
And I would assume for TSM that you take away either some of the AD carries that are a little offbeat like Caitlyn. I believe they were talking about it yesterday, where playing against Apollo, it's been stated, it's kind of hard to play against him because you don't always know what he's going to play, because his best champions are like tier 2 AD carries that aren't exactly meta. So when you're scrimming against people who are trying to play the top tier. They're playing the Kog'Maw from last patch. They're playing, you know, the Ezreal, the Varus, etc., where he's still playing things like Caitlyn, and you don't get a lot of scrim time practice versus that.
He's one of the few players to have a immense amount of success on Ziggs. The small amount of time that was a bot laner as well. So certainly some options here for Clutch. They love trying to pressure in the 2v2. Alistar ban there for Clutch. Pretty good support ban. Again, Mithy been super effective in roams, and his team fight presence has been pretty overwhelming in a lot of TSM's mid to late game wins. There's Shen. So Shen support banned away from Hakuho. Again, Hakuho a player that likes to make plays around the map. This really just helps make his solo laners better, and Apollo has shown a decent amount of self-reliance as an AD carry as well. Yeah,
Apollo and Hakuho have been one of those duos where you consider them a duo, but it's not one that really crushes the lane very heavily. They exert pressure, but a lot of that is for Hakuho to kind of take himself off of the duo and go join up with other people, especially LirA. The LirA-Hakuho duo for vision and having ganks and 3-man plays was very prevalent near the end of the Envy days.
And that's kind of the element that's been missing a little for LirA. His performances have not been quite as strong, so we'll see if he can have maybe a better showing here on the Skarner. Tom Kench slowed the ban for Clutch. Again, continuing to take defensive supports away from Mithy, so going to keep it safe. Braum is a solid one, and certainly one where TSM's duo can look to get a bit more aggressive, but no, again, sticking to that same philosophy, swapping back to the more defensive support as Taric will be the lock-in here.
Interesting, because I would expect now that they're going for more team fighting. They, I believe, lost to Taric yesterday, where they weren't able to really close out versus Cloud9, and then Cloud9 able to come back during the mid-game. So now going for more team fighting. And TSM, what's kind of been a miss for them this split is the communication and the coordination of the team after they individually win their lanes. Like they were saying on the analyst desk during the NALCS countdown, really does, you know, have that early game lead for TSM, but then it gets thrown away off the team fighting, and Taric shores up a lot of those weaknesses and can keep you alive for a very long time.
Certainly can, and there's Rakan for Clutch, actually. We've seen this pop up every now and then, kind of like you were saying. Clutch are willing to play things that aren't right at the top, potentially, of those tier lists, but certainly does give them a good amount of aggression to play with. Tristana here, nice and safe ADs for Zven that scales well. Again, we talk about TSM's bot lane being really good defensively, and TSM in general scaling up, wanting to win those big 5v5 team fights. I think Zven considered something very safe, like an Azir, but Tristana, I think just fits this type of comp a little bit better.
Yep, right now, looking at the compositions across the board, TSM, lots of scaling here with 2 hyper carries in mid and the AD carry role. Then they have, I would say, a soft-countered top lane where the Camille will beat the Gnar in most situations, but it's much harder to play the Camille side of that matchup. And I really got a feel for LirA in this one, because getting in and finding a gank is going to be difficult. Ganking top, ganking mid, and ganking the AD, they all have escapes and ways to get away that can self-peel. So it'll be difficult for LirA to find success on this Skarner early. So I wonder if he's still going to be aggressive or if he's going to default to farming.
I guess we'll have to find out soon, but we've seen a lot of effective Skarner ganks again with that Predator. So we'll see what he's running as we move ourselves into this game. Feels like pretty standard fare there for TSM. A Clutch, again, empowering their solo lane, is giving LirA a lot of agency here on the Skarner, and is giving a safe bot lane.
Yeah, and up against TSM's scaling composition, the desk was talking about it. Clutch Gaming like to go late, to the point that Jat said that Gathering Storm is a win condition for them. But they're scaling, they get a little bit outscaled here by TSM, ever so slightly, but it is favored for TSM during that later part of the game here, based on composition.
Well, we'll certainly have to find out. Certainly a lot of playmaking in the hands of the top side here for Clutch, but again, such powerful team fighting here for TSM. Certainly a rematch that both these teams that we have been looking forward to. Clutch, I want to say, pretty much stole the win along with some major objectives the last time these two teams faced off. TSM not interested in a repeat of that particular performance. We're going to move ourselves out onto Summoner's Rift, and these teams already up for this game. Let's take a listen to what Hauntzer thought about last week's game against Clutch.
I feel like Clutch really has no strengths. They've got some decent laners, like their bot and mid are pretty good. Their jungler is really greedy, so we know that they can do that, but besides that, they don't have any like clear game plan, like CLG or TL. Seems like they just get lucky if they win. I feel like last week's match was just a huge underperformance from our part, and if we could play that match again, then we'll win for sure.
Confidence, as always, from Hauntzer there in the top lane. As we do check in now, runes being populated. We did want to ask what LirA was going to take on Skarner. I have bad news for you, Zirene. It is not Predator today.
Yeah, and this spellbook, which I definitely appreciate. He was running that last time against TSM, and he swapped out his smite after objectives were taken for cleanse, which I 100% agree with. Because when you get into team fights, Skarner getting locked up and not able to reach carries is his biggest weakness. So the cleanse circumvents that and allows you to make those plays.
Well, see if Apollo, again, has the sights set on those major objectives, depending on how the game unfolds. But level 1 is a lot more calm than the last time these two teams faced. So MikeYeoung going to get some help here from Hauntzer, starting on red, opposite side there for LirA.
Yeah, it's an interesting start there from MikeYeoung, because starting on the top side usually indicates you're trying to give your bottom lane an extra bit of pushing power, and then you want to try and make a play happen there. And MikeYeoung going from the red to Raptors actually indicates that, yeah, he's going to take his time here. This is really interesting to me personally, because Raptors is a hard camp to do for pretty much everybody, and especially since he doesn't have the talisman, this will take a lot of his HP and burn both his potions. Whereas,
Level 1 aggression just looks so good there for Clutch. Hakuho gets a knock up on his Zven, but takes some damage back in return. Again, Xayah and Rakan specifically together with that W start can do so much damage.
yeah, but the Taric is there with the heal, just constantly spamming it over and over again.
Well, again, we'll see kind of what the pressure looks like there in the 2v2 as LirA has started off that blue buff. MikeYeoung just slowly clearing.
Yeah,
Now on the
looks like
right-hand side.
a full clear for him. The fact that he did Raptors will usually indicate that, because if you're going for a gank, it's red to Wolves to blue into a gank, but he's going for potentially what would be a level 4 clear here. And I wonder if the bottom lane is set up to bounce back towards TSM here. It looks like Zven is actually still pushing, so it would be hard to get a gank here unless it was a dive.
Can be tough on Trist, certainly, but pressure certainly looking good as Apollo actually warding out. Again, suspecting that MikeYeoung might be thinking about this slower level 4 gank. Right now he's on the Scuttle Crab. But again, just kind of playing it patiently, letting Zven and mithy have their time on the way to push it back. MikeYeoung destroys poor Scuttle Crab, and now back to his Grom. Again, very safe click here is LirA. Getting sneaky here on the top side. Good ward though from Hauntzer does spot him out.
And this just feels bad. There's no Spire here to empower the Skarner. That's why a lot of Skarners just leave their Krugs up forever. But LirA pathing to the top side will take this because he's doing a full clear, and he's actually, I believe, a camp ahead right now of MikeYeoung. Yeah, he is a camp ahead. That's kind of the power of Skarner on those Spires. It's just this quick clear time.
Bit of a miss up for Hakuho, dances back there to Apollo. Good route actually on the mithy as the Dazzle will miss. MikeYeoung, he is here, but yeah, they know. Again, already warded out. Now Febiven looking for the pressure. MikeYeoung just going to fade away.
Yeah, because of that, he was trying to equal camps and go for the enemy Krugs, but he spotted all the way coming in. And right here, actually, if mithy backs too, that would be very interesting because that gives him a good back timer to make a play potentially out on the map. And he was spotted that he was backing, so Clutch may go for a fast push here.
Again, playing up now. Zven has a little bit of alone time here in a 1v2. LirA though back onto his own Krug, so trying to solidify that camp advantage he built. Taking the Krugs over. Zven gonna get knocked up. Great buffer out though as he rocket jumps to safety.
One of the most infuriating things about Tristana is playing against a good Tristana that can do that every time.
Zven certainly ranked up there. LirA again is chugging through the Krugs. Spell Thieves versus Relic Shield is a slight difference there, but again, this kind of feels like how I thought Clutch might settle after a few weeks of play. He's trying to be a bit more aggressive. Hakuho again diving in onto Zven. mithy kind of caught on the front side. Aftershock procs. Hakuho so confident playing in the face of his opponents.
Oh, Hauntzer went in.
Oh, the crunch didn't quite work out. Actually, Solo going to get the damage back through. Boomerang's good. The minion wave is massive. Solo might be a little too much here. Oh my god, he almost gets to the Comet. Not enough to take him down.
Yeah, it doesn't have the low cooldowns right now on the Camille. That comes in later when you have ranks into your E and your Q. So he gets that one combo off of Hauntzer jumping in. It looked like he wanted to jump in and maybe go for a W or something.
Oh, that was damage from Febiven. Free barrier, plays up. Able to get the sleep in the burst there onto Bjergsen. 5 CS lead currently for Febiven, so nothing massive, but looks like he already used that TP from Spellbook after swapping over, so that lost chapter helping out a lot, both in the early laning phase, but winning that trade versus Bjergsen, who has now gone back. And very defensive start here for him. Double Doran's Ring on the other side.
Yeah, defensive to make sure he doesn't get burst out. And you usually don't buy too much magic resistance as Azir. You're typically going for some big ticket items to just increase your DPS in fights instead of indexing a little bit more on the resistances like Banshee's Veil. Those come in much later, so just trying to survive the matchup for now. Whereas Febiven, he does have that advantage, and like you said, use the teleport, which Bjergsen is unable to match, and that gives him a decent amount of CS advantage here, up to 10. It'll be evened up a little bit by Bjergsen.
MikeYeoung back here on the bot side, but just the movement there by the looks of things kind of forced Clutch to rethink that situation and walk their way back down. So no ward, you even saw the sweep used there by MikeYeoung to try and spot that out, but Clutch doing a really nice job playing, you know, up and aggressive and applying that pressure, but not overextending themselves too much here in the bot lane.
And Clutch Gaming have been playing for late in most of their games. It has been a strategy, and it's worked out for them. Right now, checking on the Gathering Storms, they have one on Febiven and one on Apollo, and on the opposite side for TSM, there's only one on Zven, so 2-1.
Zven is a big proponent of Gathering Storms, certainly, but like Chat mentioned, that win condition is there.
Oh, hold on, LirA.
Hello, bit of a meeting. Yep, LirA's like, thanks for the free boost out. Just again, a bit of extra pressure, but this is a nice transition. Straight onto the Infernal here for LirA.
Yeah, right onto that Drake. because MikeYeoung is on the top side of the map because his red is respawning and he started there. That gives a very good opening here.
Febiven just exhausts Bjerg as well. Again, just applying pressure there. And that Drake with, again, that pressure from the bot lane. Febiven playing up, all this space opened up. And level 6 LirA walks in, uses the blast cone, and straight back to the Drake.
Yep. Knowing that it really couldn't be stolen there because MikeYeoung's timing. And I like that. Whenever a buff is coming up, you can usually know that the enemy will go for it in professional play about on that timer. Like, if you're trying to make a play on the opposite side of the map of the blue buff spawning, you know the mid laner probably won't be there, and the jungler, because he's handing off the blue buff, and it gives you an advantage. And right there, Clutch do something very similar to that, where the red buff's coming up, and they assume MikeYeoung is cycling right on time, and it gives them an Inferno.
Smart play there as Zven sticks around for yet another wave. Mithy was back for a tier, which he does now have. MikeYeoung takes the left side. Skarner for Febiven, missing that bubble, but trying to get the pressure down. LirA again ready with the ulti. But Bjergsen able to cover.
That's through the extra resistances as well that Sejuani has before she's hit. So that Frost Armor really did prevent him from taking too much damage. And with that red buff, he heals up some. But look at this.
Buff start here for LirA, trying to donate it over, but the collapse is coming from TSM.
All of them too. Mithy is on his way over here. This is the X factor.
He walked over again. LirA able to play back. They see everyone now. LirA might just try and smite this one away. Not going to grab it. Blue buff over to Hauntzer. So a nice steal there from TSM.
Yeah, no smites on either side. So that was really just the ball's up in the air. Who's going to get it? And it ends up being Hauntzer there. It won't help him out too much in this matchup in terms of the blue buff, you know, giving him CDR, doesn't have mana. But the big thing is the experience from the blue buff will help him take that away from LirA, make sure Febiven doesn't have it. Also, gives him, you know, a little bit more of an even state in that top lane where he was a bit behind.
Oh, Bjergsen again hit by another bubble. Chunk, incoming.
Whoa! He threaded that right past the cannon minion too. Or, sorry, that was his own cannon minion. What am I doing, man? Zoe's just got me all hyped up.
She does that. Febiven, again, just continuing to apply pressure here against the Azir. Decent CS lead here for Febiven right now, but Bjergsen is sticking around. Try and play things a bit safer. Solo. Getting dressed on by Hauntzer. Crunches in. Solo again. Procs the passive. Gets one. Stun still lands into the wall. MikeYeoung here going to try and seal the deal. Solo with the flash. Flashes out from that ulti. Now goes unstoppable in the ultimatum. Maybe going to get a counter first blood, but can't grab it. Hauntzer with first blood.
The execution there was perfect from Hauntzer to have the counterplay work out. Solo hook shot into the wall right as Hauntzer stunned him into it.
Well, Solo can't quite clear that. Burns the flash and still dies to the collapse as TSM able to draw first blood. LirA though landing up a dive on the bot lane. Spotted though. Zven and mithy going to have to make a quick decision. The decision is to back away.
Hauntzer has TP and there's nobody there that really can match him.
Febiven's here too. Bubble. Oh, barely misses mithy. Sleeps the minion. Hakuho going to dash back and that pressure called off. TSM with enough presence there to defend that siege.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of damage on that turret, though. That thing is about 1/3 HP and ready to fall over. So, making sure that, you know, they can revisit it. And right here, Solo has 3 ranks in W to survive the lane. But W, I would say, is a pretty awful skill to have in a one-on-one. So, he gets the W off there. His Q is his second maxed ability. So he's going for more damage instead of escape. So as soon as that E, that hookshot is interrupted, he's not going to have it for over 11 seconds. And that's more than enough for them to finish that off.
Yep, again, MikeYeoung there with some good timing. It was a nice flash from Solo, but Hauntzer with the follow flash, able to clean up that kill. As we can see how that pressure continues to build here. Again, a lot more bot side focus here for Clutch. Not necessarily with LirA showing attention, although both he and Febiven have roamed down there in those recent minutes. But again, just dealing damage to that turret. Look how many swords Apollo has in his inventory. 2 longs and a BF just trying to apply pressure, take the turret out, and kind of play a lot like they used to last year.
Yeah, and they have a winning 2-on-2 here with the Xayah Rakan duo. Xayah does so much damage with the W, and it does even more to turrets. So he has that steroid on a lot of these fights, and it allows him to push up, wave clear, and keep the pressure on a Tristana, which normally can wave clear back. Now they're trying to fight.
Stun again, double knockup's gonna fight it, Rakan's up aggressive, but now the chump's gonna land, quickness pop, exhausted down, Apollo's still fighting out of the way, has his ulti ready, but the root does not land onto Zven.
Zven, right in between, kind of parted the sea there, just stood right between all the blade callers.
And again, such impressive play here for Zven and mithy to play up when they can, but defend well, despite all the pressure coming naturally from the matchup. Febiven gonna find MikeYeoung, looks for the simple bubble, MikeYeoung stands still. Bjergsen, though, taking pressure on this turret as Hakuho at it again. Gonna try and catch Zven here. Perhaps Obi predicts it. Does get the airborne. Fail onto the rocket. Doesn't quite get out of there. Now the damage gonna follow. Dazzle hits onto Hakuho. A lot of healing between these two as LirA looking for another dive.
Yeah, he's looking for a dive or at least pressure here so that they can maybe get this turret, but he's going to walk right past. And it's going to be ships in the night here from MikeYeoung and LirA.
Too many levels in E. Zven able to clear that out pretty quickly as Bjergsen going to face check a Scorpion. Hello! Stun not going to land. LirA needed to commit, but Febiven wasn't really there in time, so instead Clutch is going to take control once again of this river.
Yeah, it's interesting because you land the E, and then if you hit Q, it actually locks you out of your auto attack for a quick second because it's a special animation for the E proccing. So if you E and then just auto, it'll instantly go. But if you Q right in between, it does delay you from actually landing that auto attack.
Well, again, looks like pressure called off here. LirA actually backed. Febiven looking for a bubble. Would have hit, but Bjergsen already out of there from the recall.
What's Febiven do with this precious time that he's able to have here?
And I think that is the big question, right? I mean, for so long, we think about Azir matchups. Classically, Xerath comes to mind, and being such a good poke champ, you're able to
Skarner
muscle
top.
out, but you need to roam aggressively here solo. Gets the ultimate down onto Hauntzer. Hauntzer about to transform into Mega, but I don't think it's going to matter. Hauntzer paid back in time. No Mega about to go. Suppression there. Solo lines up the W, and he gets the kill.
Looked like LirA didn't want to have to use the ultimate, but Hauntzer eventually forces it out of him, and they get that kill, and they give it over to the Camille.
Suppressed into mini form. Feels bad, man. As again, Hakuho looking once more for Zven. Lands the Dazzling Gleam in onto Apollo for a bit of healing as LirA continuing to muscle down objectives.
I like
Herald, not going to last long.
Skarner's actually probably one of the best Rift Herald killers, but hold on, MikeYeoung.
Uh-oh. Pressure here for Febiven, not here. Bjergsen just faded left from mid lane.
Bjergsen's on his way as well.
TPN, TSM looking to make the play. LirA a little too far forward. Ulti from MikeYeoung. Febiven there again, chucking to Bjergsen. Lands the bubble back as well. LirA might be able to get out of here. Hauntzer not able to land that boomerang for the slow, but the Rift Herald not quite reset just yet. Febiven still looking. Rift Herald's chasing poor Hauntzer. Now onto MikeYeoung. Shelly back into the pit. Finally. Sick of that invasion.
Took a lot of time, though. Makes it so that Febiven has mid-priority here over Bjergsen. And it might give him a better recall timing, or he's actually going to go pick up the blue buff. So that actually is really easy for him to do. We'll see if he sticks around. And it looks like the plan for now.
Yep, and again, clear and roam is kind of the play pattern for Zoe. So I want to see if Febiven can continue to apply pressure and convert all of his roams into actual kills or objectives, whether it's the turrets, whether it's an actual kill. Bot lane pressure here applying. Good little dance away there from Hakuho. Lands it once more. Doesn't commit for it. The heal burnt for Zven. Means that they're just going to play this one a little bit more slowly. Mithy with so many heals.
Yeah, I wonder what his healing is this game, because it's been these trades that go back and forth. They will slightly favor Clutch. So Zven ends up, like, you know, with a fourth of his HP gone, but it just gets healed up. And the next time they fight, Zven is just ready to go. And it looks like Clutch are actually at a slight disadvantage in those fights if they keep happening and they aren't in just one single burst.
This game certainly has been so close for these first 15 minutes. A killer piece, even though TSM did get first blood, it's really just that Infernal Drake that's giving Clutch a lead and maybe the CS lead in mid lane, although Bjergsen's doing a nice job keeping that within about 10. Cloud Drake is up, but Clutch have not been called directly to action for that just yet. And again, happy to play this one a little bit slowly. Certainly, I don't expect a similar pace as their first encounter this split, but we'll have to see when either of these teams can really come alive and break open the game.
And we were talking about it before, Pastry, where Clutch are a slower team just overall. They haven't won many early games, but they come online in those team fighting phases. They rely on that synergy and their team fight. So that's what I expect Clutch Gaming to still go for here. And TSM kind of called them on it and said, this is going to go late. They picked some superior scaling, but Clutch Gaming, with that turret, are now off to the races with an advantage.
Yeah, this is kind of the time where they can springboard ahead and try and grind out a big lead and win maybe in the mid to late game a little more decisively. Cloud Drake is going to be the gift after Apollo got solo first Taric gold as well. Still up to his old tricks, secures the Cloud Drake, but no contest there for TSM, so not necessary, but still good to see he's got it from last week. Just you wait, Zayah.
It was funny because when we were watching the game yesterday, Hakuho made 100% sure that an Ezreal couldn't steal the Baron by just standing there as Braum with the shield up. No Qs, no nothing.
Seen this all before.
And that's the thing, is if it happens once, people are going to start protecting against it, so it can never happen again, because you don't want to be the guy or the team that it happens to.
Well, we'll see. Never say never, Zirene, but certainly I think both teams done a lot more homework moving into the second match. Rift Herald is once again the prize on the table for Febiven roaming over. Going to try and pressure with some bubbles. MikeYeoung, oop! almost slipped a little too far forward.
Yeah, Skarner is really great at doing the Rift Herald, mostly because the Rift Herald takes a certain amount of attacks and then will open the eye again.
Oh, Febiven forced to burn a barrier, get himself out of the way. Stun lands into Hakuho, who roamed up, but he moves back for the shield. Febiven again, pressure back on a MikeYeoung with the poke. Solo here as well. Team fight brewing, Zirene.
Yeah, everybody is in attendance. Rift Herald, roll call.
TSM a split. Solo dives in onto Zven. That's the isolation. Hextackle's made him down. Zven already flashed. LirA just puts him in the suppression, and Solo takes him down.
And that was so well played. He said, all right, I know this guy has no way of getting away. And the rocket, not the rocket jump, but the blast, the ultimate from Zven, that's what you use to burst the Camille away so that she can't keep that Hextech ultimatum out. You force her out. But Solo actually canceled the animation and made it so that it fizzled.
Clutch stuff there from Solo as the Rift Herald goes over. LirA able to secure that one. And again, TSM just getting pressured in kind of every lane at this point. Solo, a little bit behind on CS, but with the Trinity Force completed, has more than enough to just find picks and snowball the game.
And that's kind of been the story of Solo so far. And let's watch this one more time, because he sections off and sees with Camille's engage range that he can go after Zven on the side. And then you want to use the ultimate to knock them away as Tristana, but he cancels it. We'll have to see that very closely here as he tries to use that Buster Shot.
As the follow though happens again, CG just do a great job zoning
right here
out of this fight.
Goes to the other side, hits him, and then after he flashes, right there, you see in the cooldown on the Tristana ultimate went down. It's that small bit of an animation where he started it and Solo just ulties.
And the final piece of the puzzle that I didn't catch the first time, I wonder how Solo's E knocked up Zven. That was a rocket jump that fizzles after that stun lands. So Zven burns all his escapes and still gets killed. Clutch now applying that pressure.
It's interesting because it's not just a stun, it's a mini knock, right? So that's what interrupts it. Stuns don't normally interrupt it if it's just mid-flight, but something that knocks you slightly and repositions your character will interrupt it. So the hook shot does exactly that.
And certainly good enough there to net Clutch their second kill of this game as Apollo and Hakuho have swapped to the top side. Zven and mithy have been there since the last lane adjustments, but again, collapse on mid. That turret is quite low in mid lane, and with the Rift Herald, Clutch going to try and knock down yet another outer turret.
And it's pretty much primed here. LirA going to go take the Spire, get some extra vision there for just a moment. And now they'll play off of Febiven's lane, who's been doing great in CS. And I did want to talk about Solo a little bit more, because he has been the silent performer for me on Clutch Gaming. Even though his lane phases haven't been great, he actually has some of the lowest CSD in the entire league at 10 to 15 minutes. His team fighting is actually really insane. His Gangplank ultimates force the team to really react in a very different way during the fight, and it changes the whole landscape. He's the highest percent of his team's damage for any top laner in the league. He's 30% of his team's damage. And that's 9th overall in the entire league. So 80 carries, mid laners, he's doing so much damage compared to his teammates, compared to the rest of the league, that he is so high up there. Granted, playing things like Gangplank will help you out, but he's still higher percent damage than his 80 carry and his mid laner, who are constantly playing carries.
And I think that's been one of the things for Clutch that's been a big change for them, of course. You know, you consider the core of LirA, Apollo, and Hakuho playing together for a full year now. Again, they changed their solo lanes. They get a lot of talent there. Solo, again, maybe not the play everyone thinks of, wow, this guy's amazing, but if this is the kind of team that, with good farming solo laners that wants to pressure into that late game, then certainly the kind of play you want is Clutch to take the outer turret with the help of the Rift Herald.
And I think it plays right into the style that Clutch Gaming are starting to adapt to in the middle of the split, where they're going to play for that late game. Solo is not going to crush you in lane. He's not going to get these large CS leads, but he is actually showing that he has a lot of teamfight prowess for somebody who's only played 5+ games before coming into this split.
mithy knocked up, rooted again. Already so much damage as Hakuho with a long-range dash back to Xayah. mithy, though, again, healing up, slapping the wards, continuing to heal. It's kind of all good feeling things for support.
Yeah.
You hit people, you heal, you continue to hit them, you heal more.
You constantly spam that Q. It feels really good, right? It's almost like old Evelyn or Skarner for support, just constantly interacting and pressing that ability.
A little uptime.
Yeah, he has the tier as well, which definitely benefits from that style where he's able to smack a melee over and over
MikeYeoung
again.
caught around the Baron pit, charmed insta, but LirA got ulti! Gonna move him back in, the Baron even gets involved, and Apollo gonna claim a kill on TSM's jungler.
Mike gets caught out, can't even burn his flash because LirA is too fast and snags him with the stinger.
And here's maybe the extension of the problem. Top lane now pressured. Clutch looking for one more turret to fell the outer ring. Gold lead is building. They're 2,000 gold ahead, looking to make it 3 as they hammer down TSM's objectives. Oh, little far forward there maybe for Mithy. Cancels those recalls though. But Clutch not going anywhere for a while, at least with their duo lane. Apollo wants to get this next wave into the turret.
Zven staying around, and it looks like Hakuho is going to match and actually gives a recall there to Apollo. So Apollo will actually recall a little bit sooner. That's one of those things that people, when we were talking about very early on what the double recall can do, people are like, that's broken. You can just walk up as Xayah, clear the wave, and then you have like a 2-second recall. It's exactly what they do there, and it gets them out on the map faster.
There it is in action.
And, I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, is this ever going to actually be a thing? And there it is.
They're sweethearts. They deserve it. As Apollo back on the map, clearing out. Rapid fire cannon and the pickaxe now picked up after that last shopping trip. LirA clearing out Baron Vision. Clutch maybe making TSM a little nervous on the left-hand side here. A ton of pressure being applied, not just for that top outer, but also around the Baron. LirA also, again, looking through. Dazzle going to get dodged out as LirA walks back, and Apollo again, he knows the prize of this turret. That's what he's going to try and go for here.
It's interesting because Febiven is not there, and he doesn't have teleport anymore. He swapped that out for cleanse to deal with the sejuani. So he wouldn't have been able to answer, and right here, they're going to have to get that Banshee Veil off of Bjergsen, which he now has as his second item.
Can't grab it. Solo roams up though, now back towards the bot side as Hauntzer is trying to get some damage back onto the turret, but he's going to recall. Solo and Hauntzer both with their TP, so if this top lane play wants to get real spicy, both teams can get involved ASAP. Apollo getting chased a little, but Hakuho is there to protect him. Should be just fine as TSM. They're going to retake control of this Baron area.
Yeah, and it looks like LirA is going to go towards the bottom side of the map now. Solo gets a push out on the wave because Hauntzer is taking it back, sneaky back in the bush. LirA is going to try to start up this Ocean Drake, and he'll be theirs.
Yeah, not a huge step, but I think LirA is probably, 3 for 3 on Drake's started outside of 2,000 units of your allies. He's just been walking towards his objectives as Ocean is CG's third for this game. And
if you're playing for late, Infernal Dragon at 35 minutes is definitely on the table, and you want to have the most powerful one that you can have, and also it threatens it more so that the enemy team does have to contest it when that happens.
Apollo wants a mountain. He really is going to try and take this turret, but again, with Zven isolated for the time being in a 1v2. In fact, Hakuho just dives in for what a combo! Clutch's bottom lane takedown, Zven.
I'd call that a recombo, but Apollo was a huge part of that. That was so smooth from the duo.
And again, we talk about Hakuho's aggression, how pointed he is when he wants to make a play. That's the synergy they've built over the last year or so. And Zven and mithy have been playing together for a long time, but mithy not there to help out.
Exactly, and I thought that was a flash from Hakuho because that was so quick, and it came out in pretty much a blur.
Zven has his flash though, if we're keeping track, so perhaps a little surprised at the speed of that, and now actually Clutch wanting to pressure this Baron here.
Yeah,
they're going for it.
MikeYeoung's clearing the Raptors, and you can see mithy is towards the bottom side. They aren't much wiser.
This damage is going to ramp up real quick now that Apollo's arrived. MikeYeoung, pink towards the first brush, going to check the second, now knows.
Oh, can he steal it away from Clutch, or are they going to back off?
Not going to let him, they back off. They know.
Wow. No, that is some discipline right there. They are ahead. They could completely snowball the game, and instead, they just cede the pressure off of a ward from a jungler coming over the wall.
All right, Hauntzer though, let's talk about some of the things that have been going well here for TSM. Top lane, 30 CS ahead for Hauntzer, has those 2 side lane items with the Black Cleaver and the Frozen Mallet. Yes, Solo is getting stronger, but Hauntzer able to take down that turret and look to even that score up. Zven going to try and make it 2. Apollo is here to clear the wave, and Zven's like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this guy.
Yeah, they sunk a lot of time into doing that Baron, and they didn't even go for something like Hakuho goes over the wall to try and stop a skill.
Oh, this could be a big one. Good Gnar into the wall from Hauntzer, followed by the wall, but he's still trapped solo. Fancies his chances, perhaps, but ultimate runs out. Hauntzer maybe going to run away. Solo in pursuit.
And this is where Camille actually becomes, I would say, like a completely different champion when you have the maxed Q and maxed E, and since he put 3 points in W, that happens now at level 15. So she has the low cooldowns on her primary abilities, her gap closer and her damage source.
Hakuho in. Oh, looks for it, doesn't land it. Didn't pop his ulti though. mithy takes a chunk. Oh, he did, excuse me, Hakuho. Thought I saw it, did pop the quickness. Not able to land that combo. So cooldown not there for a little bit, but Clutch again, patiently playing back around this Baron.
They are very patient, if not anything else. That's really what you can attribute to Clutch Gaming. Some teams are disappointed they play long games. Clutch Gaming are like, hell yeah, we played to our win condition.
Exactly, they want to win. Ulti wide from MikeYeoung. Clutch again, fishing for the bubbles. Solo still now out of that lane, goes back for a Ravenous. Chunking to MikeYeoung.
He has Warmogs, so it's a little bit better now. He'll be able to heal that up unless it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, Febiven going to have to look for the softer members of TSM. Bjergsen obviously a prime target, but a good smart Banshees, you pointed out earlier. Actually his second complete item, as that was right. It is a new personal best for Bjergsen this game.
It's only 27 minutes in the game. So, and he also has one in his inventory.
Aha! We've solved it.
That'll become 6 soon. That's the thing, is when somebody brings it to your attention, you're definitely going to be hyper conscious of it.
No one in there.
I mean, they aren't winning this early game, so was it the problem?
I'll have to see. Febiven continuing to just chunk out waves. Probably got a big stack of gold to go and spend as Clutch, despite their gold, they're still playing it pretty slow, about 3,500 gold ahead. You mentioned it earlier, but there is that second Infernal to play for here for them as well, which is likely going to lead into that Elder Dragon given the pace of this game. And Febiven, he knows it as well. No Void stuff right now, not even tier 2 boots. He has a Death Cap as his third item.
Looking for a lot of burst damage here. Like you said, he hadn't even sunk any money into his boots. That's still just the keystone coming through. I guess the
Yeah, he didn't spend anything at all.
Yeah.
Got him for
like,
free.
Free boots. Free ass boots.
It'd be so funny if Febiven just never spends any money on boots this game. It's like, this is all I need is Solo. This might be all he needs. Hauntzer transforms away. Solo held the ulti.
Might need it for a play that they're going to try to make across the map here, but he's just trying to push Hauntzer out. Now you see the CS is getting a little bit more even.
It's caught up.
And he has the Ravenous Hydra. So he bought the Tiamat, went for the Sterak's, which goes into both Titanic and Sterak's there, or bought the Jarm's Fist, sorry. But the Ravenous Hydra is the route, because that's more split pushy. That's less team fight power. That's more for winning your one-on-one and just healing up even if you take a bad trade.
And again, with all of the kind of pressure Clutch are trying to apply here, having Solo just permanently shoving a side lane is really nice for them. Again, 55 seconds to play with around the left side of the map, as Infernal Drake will be spawning.
I thought this would be an issue if the game went longer for Clutch, because usually you see QSS. There are still 0 QSSs for TSM, and I remember in their game versus Clutch, they really hadn't purchased any either last time. So LirA kind of gets to have free reign. And you contrast that to like Cloud9 yesterday playing against, I believe it was MikeYeoung Skarner. It was 4 QSSs and a Banshee's Veil. And it was like, wait, he's never going to get an ultimate off. And here you're seeing that TSM are more concerned with getting these key items, these ticket items to have team fights, and potentially saying, if I get Skarner ultied, it's a lost fight anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the other problem is that, you know, yes, it is very effective, but you have to sink that gold in when you're already behind trying to match in these mid to late game team fight scenarios. That's just gold you don't have for combat, which could also be the difference. So it's a really tough choice here for TSM. But again, if it only takes one Skarner ulti to bust open a game, if it's at the right time on the right person. So we'll see if TSM pay for it.
Yeah, but they have some tools to potentially deal with it, which may circumvent it. Things like the Cosmic Radiance, right? The Azir wall to push back.
Big moment, Baron! Oh, sorry, Infernal Drake goes over to TSM. Clutch not interested in a team fight. Really smart stuff from TSM. I thought Clutch had the map pressure there, but yeah, TSM just sneak in and take that away.
Able to just kind of, like you said, sneak in and take it. And so Clutch are going to go towards the Baron and try to get control, because they already have control of this area, actually. It's mid-priority for them. They already have the Camille in attendance here.
Hakuho, again, you can see how kind of deep he's going on these sweeps. And they are going to start at Apollo, and Hakuho
without LirA.
Two-man.
LirA is kind of showing, hey, we're not doing the Baron. It doesn't matter. Don't check over here. Yeah. They check anyway.
Zven coming. He knows he has to check here. Blue will chunk it also down, but there's not enough. MikeYeoung looking for the steal. Not going to be able to get in. Skarner gets it, suppresses Mike, and that's a heartbreaker for the TSM jungler.
That was insanely close. I think I saw 9 HP on that Baron right before it went down with the Blade Caller and the Smite.
What it was by the looks of things. TSM, though, losing the buff. Let's watch this again, Zirene.
One more time. I actually think that was literally 9 HP on the Baron. A Yordle Fart will take that thing out at that point. Let's see this right here. 9 on the dot. Mike went in. He smited first, and it was just 9 short of being the seal for TSM.
And he eats 2 ultimates after flashing into the pit, which has to just feel so bad. Clutch add the insult to the injury. And now with the Baron, going to try and knock down some more turrets. They're 5,000 gold ahead already. It could get a whole lot worse here for TSM.
Yeah, TSM now have to play on the back foot, and there are ways that Clutch Gaming can force. Whenever a team has Baron, I always look at the composition, how much engage potential do they have, how much snappy engage and reliable engage do they have, and they have it in spades here with Clutch. With the Camille Hextech ultimatum, the Skarner ulti, the bubble for poke, and then they even have Hakuho, who's probably going to be the main source of engage here with the Grand Entrance.
Yep, Splash is ready. Clutch is engaged as Apollo just laying feathers into the TSM front line. Trying to siege down the first tier 2 here for Clutch. Mid lane is the initial target. Febiven dancing around, throwing bubbles in towards Bjergsen. Clutch looks like they've got everything lined up for a nice 3-lane push with the Baron buff. 2 minutes to try and knock down some turrets.
We'll see how many they can get here. That seems like more than enough time.
Yep.
Gonna go after pretty much all 3 lanes at once and spread TSM thin across the map.
That one's dead. Baron minions finishing that off. Oh, Apollo, what an ulti! Fast fingers to dodge that initiation from MikeYeoung.
Smooth like butter there from him. That was really well played.
No defensive ult here for Apollo, but 3.5 damage items. Should be okay to siege down these turrets or take a fight depending on the texture of these sieges. TSM, you can tell they're trying to force something, and they should be.
Yeah, and I see some QSSs coming in now. Zven has his. MikeYeoung has a null magic mantle here. So we'll see if that turns into one later.
Well, this turret, pretty much a foregone conclusion. Clutch able to take that one down. Flash ult in, Zven! Hey, look at that QSS! LirA, I think he just didn't check before he started that. He's like, oh, it's got a QSS.
Yeah. It's like, these guys, they haven't even bought QSS.
The one guy! The one guy that has it has to be Zven.
Oh, he flashed for it, too.
I know.
So that got the flash ult. That's a feels bad moment of Skarner.
Captain Val is somewhere watching this game, shuddering.
Yeah, he'd be like, LirA, you got to check every single time they back. What have they got? Before you ulti, hit that tab, check for the QSS. Even if it's 30 minutes in, something might have changed.
He loves talking about the tricky stuff as well, but no tricks there from LirA. It's a straight up flash ult denied by Zven's purchase, but Clutch again, still getting good work done. Don't let that one miss kill fool you. 5 turrets to 1 and looking to make it 6. Drowsy Bjergsen, mithy gonna block. Febiven doesn't even bother chucking the bubble. And looks like a reset here. Clutch pretty much got what they wanted there. No inhibitor turret, but basically all of the tier 2's taken.
Yeah, I got 2 of them, and then that last one up top, very, very close. But Elder Dragon in 2 minutes, so it's a reset now to push out waves and then potentially reset again after they get vision on that area.
Well, Apollo's still getting stronger. 4 damage items for him. Zven only with 3 and a QSS. Still got that Doran's Blade hanging out as well.
Yeah. Looking at Febiven right now, he's got 644 AP.
That's a lot.
Some of that is from Gathering Storm, plus he has the Death Cap. And the Death Cap will multiply your Gathering Storm AP, so it's even more effective.
Genius! They figured it out. Buy Death Cap, take Gathering Storm. Well, like you said, Clutch have certainly slowed things down. This game, though, 35 minutes ain't that slow to carve out a pretty substantial lead for themselves. 7,500 gold. Looking for Elder Dragon 1 and quite probably Baron number 2 to get things going.
I mean, you're memeing it a little bit, but it's 48 AP from the Gathering Storm. And that's also going to be multiplied by the Death Cap there. So he's looking at a little bit over 65-ish AP from just taking that that one rune, plus having the Death Cap.
Certainly worth his investment there. Didn't really need it for the lane either. Despite, and got good pressure, regardless of that fact. Clutch lining up again. The next objective, trying to find a fight. That's a big clump of TSM there. Apollo, they're getting shunked. Bjergsen able to say no with the Sand Soldiers.
And this is pretty key right here. 30 seconds before the Elder Dragon is on the table. Bjergsen has a blasting wand, but no Void Staff just yet. They're gonna fight.
LirA damage back in. Oh, massive combos. Apollo just takes down MikeYeoung. Apollo runs interference. There's the Taric ultimate down. mithy gets the press, but he still gets down. Hauntzer chased down by Solo. This looks like a mess here for TSM.
Oh, he got snapped back.
We're gonna try and move him in. Bjergsen taken down by Apollo into the ultimatum, and Clutch just runs straight to mid.
Yeah, run it down mid. They're gonna start pushing here. They might get everything.
3 kills clean as the top side for TSM falls down. Clutch gonna bust open at least 1 inhib here.
Yeah, if they get the inhib, they can reset and go straight for that Elder Spend from the side.
Yep, have to be careful. Face-taking Hakuho. Solo gets the stun. My goodness, man, the damage as the turret falls.
You prep that true damage on the turret, you E in, and you try to burst the AD carry out. And now they're hunted for Zven.
Zven, do not get caught in a silly spot. Does not. Recalls effectively, but again, Clutch back around the Elder Dragon. 15 seconds of Hauntzer's up. Solo gets the bot side pushing. Clutch going to feel that tempo, start playing aggressive.
And Bjergsen had a lot of money, wasn't able to spend it before that fight. They went in, and that's going to be Elder Dragon off of that blunder, and also the great team fight from Clutch.
And now 10,000 gold plus ahead with an inhibitor down. Baron up in 50 seconds. As far as Clutch are concerned, this will not be a 52-minute affair.
Yeah, MikeYeoung is so squishy here. He goes in, but then instantaneously, they just blow him up. He has QSS, he has stopwatch still. He's 0-3 and still hasn't been able to find an opportunity to use that. And then they're able to just stop Mithy from getting out there. And he flashes over the wall. Oh, the Hex Tech ultimatum. The way that it works is if he casts on you, she's going to slam down in that position. If you go over a wall and you're halfway through the wall, it's going to snap you back because you just can't end up in a wall.
It's a
That's
cage.
how the game
It's
works.
a cage. You're trapped. As Bjergsen certainly feeling the effects of that. Baron up in 10 seconds as Clutch. We'll have the Elder Dragon to take this objective down and a team fight if TSM dare challenge in a 4v4 or 5v5. This Baron is going to be one of the fastest.
Yeah, if there were some mountains behind it, maybe it'd be a little bit better, but still.
Goodbye, Baron.
That is
I'll miss
pretty
you.
much gone.
And again, TSM, no, they can't contest, so don't bother, but 3.5 minutes. Big old Baron buff to place with pressure as TSM try and counter push mid, but Clutch. That gank squad, LirA, Hakuho, and Apollo, the three guys that stayed in the core of this team. We're going to try and get some more members of TSM as Febiven just breathes on that top tier 2 turret to take it down.
And now I feel like we were talking during the beginning of the split, we were talking about Envy, where this was Envy with some upgraded solo laners because they had those 3 core members. But I feel like we're finally seeing that come to fruition here. Clutch Gaming aren't just playing around those 3 members, they're incorporating Solo and Febiven in their play styles, and that's how they've been winning some of these games.
Agreed. There's just such a balance here. Febiven and Solo enabled in their spots, and the core of CG finally feels like it's firing properly here in the 2v2 with LirA having such great presence. He's almost a secret agent at 006 here on the Skarner.
He's been doing work here, has very high KP, tied with Hakuho right now. But like I've been saying, Febiven and Solo are these silent performers who have just been dishing out so much of that late game damage for their teams, and they've gone rather unnoticed because their early games haven't been spectacular where they're dominated from start to finish. There's a rocky start for Solo especially, but then he really does deliver in the later parts of the game.
Well, it's going to have to be one hell of a hold from TSM. As a TP in from Clutch for Febiven. Looks like he's back in. I think he picked that one up off the ground. He still has a cleanse. But again, that pressure stays. 2 more minutes of this siege.
And you pick it up, you take it. Solo's going to go after the turret.
Goodbye,
Slowly.
turret. Haunter, yeah, just going to get stunned out. Probably didn't want to wait around. A tired little Gnar's not going to be able to fight 1v1. LirA also around here as Solo forces his minions into the inhib. One more slap does it. It's almost a full damage Camille. Bruiser mode here for Solo.
Camille is actually in a fantastic spot. She fell off a little bit towards the end of last year.
I don't know if Haunter wants
Hold
this.
on.
I don't know if Solo knows that he wants it. Haunter's still chasing. Solo's just chilling out. Let his team do the work.
Yeah, he transforms, so no more Frozen Mallet range there. Apollo almost dead.
Good ulti again. The root lands back into the Bjergsen. LirA! Flash ultimate! Apollo goes unstoppable. The redemption comes back down. LirA has been promoted to 007.
Solo from the side here, just kind of pushing in. And
Goodbye, Sven. Goodbye. Oh, my goodness. Reddit's going to have a field day. Zven gets one shot by the Zoe and Clutch. They're going to move in for the kill. Hakuho into the MikeYeoung, who finally breaks that stopwatch. But you are 40 minutes too late, my friend. As one Nexus Turret falls, number 2 is going to go, and Clutch will silence the doubters and take down TSM.
And this is one step closer for Clutch solidifying their standings at the top half. They now are 2 games ahead of TSM in the standings, and they have the 2-0 tiebreaker head-to-head.
And again, people saying that, you know, that it's weird to see them positive, but kind of feels like they didn't deserve it in certain spots. Well, they more than deserve that win.
Absolutely. Hauntzer was talking about it where he said if we played that game over again, well, they would have won. They didn't get to play that game over again.
They played a very different game. Clutch firing on all cylinders, every single lane. I think finally coming together the way we expected when we saw this roster put together in the offseason.
And that's what we're noticing here as we approach and pass the first half of the split and get into that second half is teams that are not showing a lot of improvement in the communication. The issues that you see at the beginning of Spring Split are starting to fall a little bit further down the standings. But teams that are coming together and working as a team, Cloud9, Echo Fox, regardless of what style you're running, as long as you are working together with your team, you're going to see results, and Clutch showed that today.
I think, you know, at its foundation, at any level, solo queue or in competitive, League of Legends is a team-based game. For a lot of these newer teams, it makes sense that it took some time, took, you know, 5 weeks for these teams to get together, whereas with Cloud9, maybe a little bit better, faster integrating, maybe the synergy hits just a little harder. But for a team like Clutch, who kind of stumbled their way through figuring it out, pieces of the puzzle starting to come together, and unfortunately for TSM, the opposite is true.
Yeah, for TSM, they were under the 500 mark at the halfway point of the split, but now they're 4-6, and they were tied for 5th. They're going to start sliding a little bit further now as teams will start picking up wins around them. And they're only 1 game ahead of that pack of 3 teams tied at 7th. So there's only 1 game dividing them from 5th all the way down to being 7th, 8th, 9th.
Well, certainly rough stuff, but we're going to send it over to Overly and Clutch's mid laner for an interview.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Febiven. Congratulations on that win. This was actually round 2 for you guys against TSM. What kind of preparation did you guys do coming into this match that gave you such a clean win?
I don't think it was different preparation compared to other teams. I think it's kind of similar, but I think they kind of messed up in the draft phase, and I think we got like winning lane everywhere. So yeah, it was kind of hard for them, especially when they give Zoe to us.
Now this is actually, you guys are having back-to-back 2-0 weekends. Does this momentum that you guys are bringing, or that you guys are building rather, contribute to your pressure or rather relieve it?
I think there's still a lot of pressure on us. Like, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves individually, and like everyone knows that we are capable of more. You know, we are doing pretty good so far, and really happy with our progression. And obviously, the 4-0, like the win streak, makes us want to win even more. You know, and I think even if we lose, we still have like the mindset where we want to improve so much. So I feel like we are just gonna go really far with this team.
Now, Apollo and Hakuho did a lot of work today. As a mid laner, what does it mean to you to have such a strong bot lane?
Yeah, it's always nice to have a really good bot lane, because bot lane is always really important in every meta. And if your bot lane can consistently get pressure and always do well throughout the whole game, and also like they're like incredible teammates as well, so it just feels really good to be around them.
Well, congratulations again on your win. And for more on that game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Febiven kind of doing our job for us there, pointing towards the draft as one of the places in which Clutch Gaming got their edge in this rematch here. Now 2-0 in the head-to-head over TSM.
It was something we were talking about as soon as it happened, where it felt like TSM was focusing too much on comfort/power picks and not enough about what Clutch Gaming could get as a result.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing that happened is TSM, I think, was like, yes, power picks. Everyone is willing to blind pick Azir and Gnar when Zoe and Camille are banned. Because Camille's the most banned champion in LPL, Zoe's been the most banned champion in the NALCS. Only the 7th team that's been allowed to play it this year was Clutch Gaming right here. And as Febiven mentioned, they got 3 losing lanes. Like, you think TSM had power picks. The reason you don't see Clutch Gaming's power pick composition often is they're never allowed to get those combinations.
Right, and while Clutch Gaming did win Game 1 against TSM and now Game 2 here, it was a very different story or path to those victories this time around, where just at the top of the day, Jat, you threw us the stat about TSM's major leads, having the highest percentage of time with a major lead of all the NALCS teams. 0% of this game spent with a major lead. 0%.
It's a lot harder to get a major lead when you don't get a double kill level 1. So TSM, you know, had a harder time. This Clutch Gaming didn't really throw that lead away that they had in the first game, and then while the objective control, which we'll get into, is still a little dicey by both teams here. Right. Clutch Gaming with the lead shows they know how to play with it. They had so much playmaking available. Camille can make plays happen. Rakan can do the same thing. Skarner's the same way. And then, like you said, usually when you have that much playmaking, you're concerned about this. But the problem that's still laid for Clutch Gaming a little bit, and why they're still not quite a top team, is they don't have the decisiveness around plays.
Yeah, if you look at an Echo Fox or a C9, getting the jungler kill that Baron with all 5 of your team there, and the enemy jungler or enemy top laner trying to set up a split push, as you can see the Gnar on the bottom of the screen, it would be a go button for Baron.
Right.
It took them a longer time, right? This was a 40-minute game, and they were in control. But every time they didn't shut the door, they were leaving it open for TSM to come back.
And that's where things start getting a little dicey, because after that, TSM gets an Infernal Dragon because Clutch Gaming wasn't controlling the river well enough. And then it's like, okay, well, you are still playing against a Tristana Azir. You don't want to give them the late game with the Infernal Dragon. So there was that small concern if they were actually going to be able to close the game out. And so they actually were able to do that.
They were able to. They found their fight. It came 36 minutes in. They get that 3-for-0, kind of in the blue side jungle of TSM here.
Yeah, and just track where Hauntzer is approaching this fight from, because he gets completely blown up before he's able to have fun in this fight. He kind of walks into a Drowsy and then pop! The Zoe kills him, as well as Solo catching from the side. And at that point, the fight is actually over, because they were relying on that Gnar flank to have any chance in this fight.
Yeah, Camille pulling the Azir back always looks funny when you see
Crazy interactions there.
Yeah, a lot of bouncing around, but a really nice fight by Clutch Gaming there, punishing TSM for thinking that they could maybe start that fight off. And it was a really clean game out of Clutch. It looks great for them. I mean, we keep throwing this like kind of shade at them. We're like, oh, they got lucky before, and then their objective control wasn't great this time. But now they're clearly in sole possession of 4th place. I think they deserve some more credit.
And I think they actually were lucky in their first win against TSM.
It's fair to say.
But they were not lucky here, and at a certain point, they're now on a 4-game winning streak, and momentum is very strong for them. I think they're more committal to the style that I think Febiven is comfortable playing in, and you're really seeing his skill set as a mid laner, right? Up on CS on Bjergsen, I think more mid lane control that game. Very crucial picks in pivotal team fights to bring him to victory, and I mean, that's essentially what he did in the first game against TSM as well on Corki, to show up in those late game team fights, and kind of rallying around him is showing a lot of success for the team.
And I also like the Skarner pick for LirA. He's someone who's been struggling to find his place on the team, and here it's like a power farming, early jungling tank who then team fights pretty well. It's exactly what he needed to kind of get a role in the team.
Right, very much what LirA needs. So a 6-4 Clutch Gaming. We're now comfortable, rather, calling them a top half team.
Middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack team. Okay.
Definitely better than TSM today, for sure. And that's the weird thing that's with our standings right now. Like, Mark was commenting, we got a bunch of these teams that were like 4th and then they lose a game, or 5th and they lose a game. It's like, well, they're really going to fall below who?
Right.
Because no one is surging except for Clutch here.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, there's still a clear top 3, I think, with TL, and based off this game, I'm not ready to put Clutch up there. They still lack some of that decisiveness to really shut the door on people the way the other top teams do, but they still are showing that they have a lot going for them.
I mean, is that the only thing separating them from the top 3? Is this ability to, with a single kill taken, call a Baron?
Part of it. I think the other part of it for me is I kind of look at a lot of their games, and this is the first one to me that's felt like really decisive.
Okay.
I even think of their Optic game last week where they were losing for a fair bit of it, and I thought Optic had many positions to actually beat them. This is a game where I didn't think TSM really had many windows to be clutch, and they closed it out.
Yeah, I think consistency is key for this team, now showing that they can do this a couple times in a row against worse opponents than them.
Oh, a 4-game win streak. That's pretty consistent, to say the least. We'll see if they can keep it going next week. Up next, we got Team Liquid meeting the Golden Guardians on Summoner's Rift. See you back here after the break.